Happy Valentine's Day evening. It's night now. Today, while I was having my quiet time, my meditation, whatever you want to call it, uh, I was going through my head through balance, having balance. And, what does that mean? Being centered, being balanced. What does that mean to me? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to your partner? And in what context, because there's life balance, there's balance with your health, there's balance with your relationships, there's balance with work. uh, so I made this thing today because it made me think of it. Yeah, it's for a visual. I don't know. I made this, I don't know, it's been several years. uh, I kind of got the concept from Tony Robbins, and then the Simple Stick. I read the book. I don't I don't know the name of it. Steve Jobs, I guess. It was about how he built Apple, and how his idea was just to keep everything as simple as possible. Whenever the engineers would bring stuff to him and say keep it simple. So I try to remind myself to do that because I tend to overcomplicate things sometimes. And whatever I do, explain something, or whether I'm, when I'm working on my business, I try and it comes back to, you can't please everyone. And that's it was a quote that supposedly it came from Bill Cosby. It says, I don't know the key to success, but I know the key to failure, and that's trying to please everyone. And that's what happens. We try to please everyone, and you end up overcomplicating things because you're trying to do too many things. So I try to remind myself to keep balance, and I use, now, of course, this can go to infinity. I use from 0 to 10 to -10, because you can use it with politics. You have people that are far left, far right, religion, far very religious or very spiritual. I try to stay in the middle on everything. Uh, Now, of course, that's different for everybody, right? It's going to be different for you depending on where you are. If you're a religious person, your your center is going to be here, and then you get to try to stay centered. See, I try to stay centered on everything, and uh, so you look at the extremes of things, and I try to find the common denominator and what's in me in the middle. And a lot of this, really, most recently, is probably has to do with emotions, with my emotions, where I get when something happens or somebody says something, and you go to extremes, right? So being balanced at 0 in the middle, being balanced, centered, means you're calm and everything's good, right? So if things are a little bit negative, you get off balance, and then you try to bring it back the other way, and you don't want to be too high or too low. And again, it all depends on what you want, but uh, I really had a great point this morning, but I wanted to wait till I built that, and but it was a process of painting, staining, letting it dry, getting it all right. And I'm gonna put it up under my TV to remind me to try and stay balanced. Like, for example, what just came to my mind is when you're driving. You know, you're driving, you're calm, everything's good, and then somebody cuts you off. You don't want to get okay. They cut you off, it bothers you a little bit, but you don't want to go too far. And because this is balanced. Uh, this is the base is solid, but so you can, if you get off balance a little bit, then you totter. But if you get too far off balance, and then you fall way out of whack, and then things start going bad. uh, And it's kind of the same thing with getting too excited about stuff, right? When something's when you're waiting on something, and uh, even if you expect it, but you get too excited about it, then you're at one end of the spectrum, and then if it doesn't happen, and then you go all the way to the other end. That's extremes, and that's not good. I just read a quote on Facebook. It said something to the fact that the people that are successful with relationships and money and health, they're emotionally stable. It used a different word, uh, but it was you have an IQ and you have an EQ, and an emotional quotient. So you got to be emotionally intelligent. You've got to be somewhat in control and keeping a balance, being centered, and whatever that is. Uh, you know, it takes it takes a little bit of work, and I mean, what else are you going to do? Again, I always say the results. What are your results? What are you getting? Do you need to change things? I don't know if that visual. I try to use visuals and reminders for myself, but I also try to find different ways to communicate things to get them across, because I know we all understand things and see things differently. Uh, I try to see things through your eyes. I seek to understand, and that helps me keep balance. If I stay centered, then I'm able to, uh, yeah, that's where that whole thing was going to go. I don't know how that had to do with being centered and balanced, but uh, it truly being able to see behind someone else's eyes. Now, there's another term for it, walking in someone's shoes. Um, I like the idea of seeing it behind someone's eyes, because once you're behind their eyes, you're in their head. And being able to try to understand why someone feels the way they do, it's going to have to go into their mind as far as things that have happened to them and why they feel or do or say the things they do, and the way we see things. And I mean, this is, I always use my son to the fact that he's colorblind, and that's what's the word? And, it's not metaphorical, because he does see things differently. He sees different colors than most of us. That's a physical, that's an actual aspect. But when someone uh, has had a certain experience, past experience, when they see something, they see it in a different way. Uh, and there are physical aspects to that as well. I remember when I was a manager at Chuck E. Cheese, the district manager said, at night when you close, when you go to clean the bathrooms, go into the woman's stall and sit down and get their perspective, see what they're seeing. Uh, to give you a perspective of how they're cleaning. And it's the same thing with, like when you're talking to your kids. When it's something serious, it's, they say get down to their level and talk to them eye to eye, because physically they're seeing things from a different perspective, but mentally we all do as well. So, yeah, I just, it just, that was just something that came up today and got me to make that thing, which it turned out pretty good. I was kind of proud of it. So, find your balance in whatever it is. It's, with your eating, if it's health, don't go to an extreme, working out like crazy, and then you go back the other way and not do anything. You've got to find a balance and stay You know, ±3, I would say, or ±2, and whatever you're doing, you know, working out, whatever it is in life. And I think that would help a lot of people from trying to go to extremes on stuff. Uh, I'm not gonna. It takes a minute to get that balance. All right. Have Valentine's Day.